Welcome to Manning Environmental help video for pressure switches. Today I will go over the operation and testing of the pressure switch on your sampler. The cycle on a vacuum unit is purge with pressure, draw with vacuum, measure with pressure, and deposit with pressure. The unit begins by purging. The unit then switches to draw. The sampler changes from draw to measure when the chamber is full. A pressure switch is what tells the unit that the chamber is full. The unit then deposits. There are several ways to check if the pressure switch is working correctly. First is the dry test cycle. Disconnect the intake hose so no water will enter the chamber. Initiate a test cycle by switching to manual cycle. There is a high side and low side on the switch. When the unit has entered the draw phase, squeeze the high side tube and roll your fingers towards the pressure switch. This should trigger the switch and cause the unit to switch to measure. It does not test how sensitive the switch is. Whenever you use a new setup, a dry test cycle should be performed, and this test should be successful before wet sampling. The pressure switch has a high side and a low side for high pressure and low pressure, and it will trigger at 1/2 inch of water or 0.018 psi. Pressure should be on the high side, which is attached to the sensor tube. The low side is attached to the main chamber. You should never use compressed air on the pressure switch. It's very sensitive and compressed air can easily damage the switch. A water trap is provided to prevent water from reaching the pressure switch and is on the low side. If water is present, it should always be emptied. A second set of 3/16 stainless steel probes, which normally do not contact the water, act as backup. If the pressure switch should fail for any reason, these probes will complete the sample. But you should avoid running off the backup probes because if they fail, water can enter the air system. A more complete test can be done after removing the pressure switch. Make sure you get the tubes back onto the correct barbs when reassembling, or the switch will not work correctly. Set the multimeter to continuity or ohms, and then connect it to the pressure switch. Polarity doesn't matter. The switch should be open, meaning there's no continuity in this state. If there is, then there is likely water in the switch. The switch can be tapped on each of the barbs to try and remove the water, but after long enough exposure, corrosion will occur and the switch will fail. If the switch is open, then get a glass of water with at least 1/2 inch of water in it. You can attach something hollow and rigid such as a straw to the high side tube. When you insert the straw into the water, note how far underwater it is when it triggers. It should be very close to 0.5 inches. This test gives you the setting and function on the pressure switch and the current trigger level.